Conference is paying more money because they have to fill the volunteers. But he will say, I will travel, this is it. And he knew that if he's walking half naked in the streets of London in the cold, it's dangerous and people will tell him. But he said, no, man, I'll do this. So many a time, so he also wanted to say that I'm noble, I'm perfect in that way. So we don't have a lot of information about his other areas. But what we have is his need to be perfect and how that creates a rigidity in him. If someone would say that Bhagat Singh has done this, he would say that no, that is not the proper thing. Yeah. So I can't do it. I can't help you. So he would always just get into that. Very interesting. So you need to really look at it, leaders. Because I work with a lot of leaders. One of the tricks, if you are a type 1, one of the challenges that you know is what is missing in life is spontaneity. Doing this. You know, the type 1 guy, if your spouse is a type 1, he will buy you the best birthday present. Write the card. Make sure that he remembers also. Type 1s are good husbands. Remember all the dates and all those things. That's very important. But what is missing is, he just can't be spontaneous. He has to also do a rehearsal too. Yeah. They can do everything to be the most perfect.
So they can be a royal painter.
If in their own field, that if they know very well, by putting all the research thing. So that's about type 1. So the energy, you know, which comes with the. I'm sure there are a lot of type 1s who are sitting in this room. So what? Type 1. And you need to ask, the easy way to understand type 1 is to go and ask the son, the spouse, or people around, and they'll say, you know, mom, dad, when you're sitting on the table, it is there. So the type 1s also come across very, very clearly to the people who are close to them. Okay, also I don't have to change the fraction. Type 2. Type 2, the basic energy is about relationship, caring, giving, and supporting. So type 2 as a child learned that if I give support and help you become the hero, I will be loved. Type 2 is a very, very supportive, giving energy. We say that I will work, you go and fight your battle, and I am here to support you.
Basically, the primary motive behind each child is the craving for love.
Love and affection, as a child. That's how this came up. The type 2 learn that comes naturally to them, and that's what gives them love and energy. So the whole focus is about the other person. Type 2s know when you're going to have a headache before you know that I'm going to have a headache. And type 2s even know where to press it. Because they're tuned to the other person. Cute. And really charming. They have this way to connect.
You use the word manipulating. How is it?
Well, yeah, the negativity. Like each one will have a negativity. Manipulating because they need the relationship so much, not the other person. So I give you so much. But always with that next. So the best way is, I always thought my mom manipulated me with her love. So she has this rule that during those days, if I come late, okay, she will not sleep. So one side to look at is beautiful, but she'll make sure she's sitting in the portico, waiting with the lights on. And two things she wanted to know. One, how I tasted alcohol. So when I opened the door, very, very gently she will also pass me with her own noses. And it's her way. And the whole story that she said, tell me that, you know, if you don't come, I can't sleep. And I said, Mom, please sleep. Because if I know that she's sleeping, I can have that next drink so peacefully with friends. But now I can't. I know that this she's sleeping. So, which is what manipulation? Nothing else. So, like every one of us, everyone went for love, for the people, and the way of two is that I give you so much, and then I hold you with an invisible thread. I will also tell you that I give you so much.
But you can see no mom is laughing at this.
Yeah, no. So So we would have gone through that. And also type 2 is the corresponding type of the traditional female energy. That's also one way that you relate. Because we always, traditional energy is supporting, caring. So which is a type 2. But that doesn't mean that women are type 2s, because I see exact number of type 2, both men and women.
But here I want to ask you, the overly accommodating, oblique manipulating, it usually happens, in the present times, a woman or a man makes a choice as to with whom he or she wants to be overly accommodating.
True.
For instance, I would make this concession for my kids and my husband.
True.
I would not make it for a fourth person.
Correct.
So would that put me in a type 2?
No, you're not a type 2.
I'm not type 2.
Type 2 has, among all types, type 2 has more problems saying no than anyone.
Yeah.
And they also are very expecting of it in return.
No, not.
So if you are real 2, one of the reason why you are giving,
It's because you want it in return.
no, it is normal way. So Mother Teresa was a type 2, but she is evolved one.
But as a normal type 2, you
Will be both.
I will
A type 1 can have type 2 also.
Yeah,
Because you-
Yeah, it is there. So you are.
So maybe you are a perfectionist, but you are very accommodating as far as.
So that I will explain how that other two.
The heart is not only kind of persons being exploited.
Yeah, true. Because they can't say no. Remember I told you some of the very famous, rich, popular people in a toxic relationship, and you wonder why they don't get out. Can be right. Because the relationship is much more important.
Relationship, emotionally, those are.
Yeah. Because in that process they say that if I leave this guy, he will have a big problem. So even if he is misbehaving,
You take it.
as a type 2, because I can't say no, until I'm conditioned and my DNA is to be there. So they are more, they can be in an abusive relationship than the types.
Because that's your core values. So get into a relationship later. So do you tend to become the type?
If you are a type.
You are a type 2, right? Before itself.
If you're not, then it doesn't change.
But what about the Stockholm syndrome, as they say, if somebody kidnaps you or you're a victim over a certain period of time,
Yeah.
then you start sympathizing with the abuser. Now this has happened in a lot of situations. So, but that person is not typical type 2, but he is a victim of the circumstances.
True. There would be. That's not a type 2. That's a psychological, yeah.
So if you're a type, you attract stars in your life based on what type you are.
Right? More than right.
So if you're a type 2, you would attract maybe a.
Could you speak a little louder, please? We can't hear you here.
Whatever you're in.
What she's going one more step ahead.
You could attract.
She's saying, unconsciously do we attract people around based on who we are.
So you can attract the energy is always there.
Yeah.
That anybody can attract.
Yeah. Based on who you are. Because see, one thing is people who come closer to you.
But it's not necessary that if you're a type 2, you can attract an abusive relationship.
No, but the fact is, whoever you are,
You can attract abusive relationships. But
No,
you
what-
get out of it.
No, what I'm saying is, do you agree that the people whom you attract in your life, somehow you are attracted?
You, because of your personality type, you are attracting them in the first
May
place.
not be just personality, whoever you are, wherever you are. So we do bring, because everybody doesn't. So there is some element of self in the kind of relationships we get. That's what. Type 2s are usually prettier than ours. Yes. Attractive.
Yeah, because they're gentler.
Yeah, they're in the beginning and the kids they learn. Yeah.
Those that I know personally are not pretty.
Really? Yeah.
That's why I
They're charming. They have a way when they walk in, they connect.
So
child itself then.
It's not a physical prettiness, but like,
By the way, there is an additional, there is a psychological disorder twos can get into. What would be a psychological disorder one can get into easily?
I know of the first one, OCD.
OCD, ADD, you name it. It's alphabetically haywire there.
Yeah. What is the psychological disorder twos can get into?
depression. It could be if they don't get your return back, so they get very.
Yeah, depression can be one of the things called histrionic personality disorder.
What's that?
Basically means people pleasing. So going overboard when you're not healthy. Please.
No, I have seen people of type 2 going on praising other people without realizing that you have to tell them, enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
People pleasing. People pleasing is you can just go.
Yeah, they can go on appreciating.
Yes. Right. 30 minutes. So I need to cover now 7 types. 6.
I think you complete it, and then maybe
Then the questions, right?
And people can stay back after whoever wants.
Yeah, people can stay back. I have an international flight to catch. So still I can. I actually came today morning. Just if this was not there, I would take my flight from Bucharest to Cairo. Just happened here, so I just landed, do this, back,
Good for us.
then go back. But I'm still okay to stretch for a while and be here. So let's go back. 3. Now these words, don't get carried away with the words because there is nobody in this room who is not result oriented. But what it says is, 3 is only bothered about that. The end.
At any cost.
At any cost. How do I get this thing done? How do I get this thing done? So as a child we realize if I get things done, create results, everybody will laugh. So, and please sometimes these words have a negative connotation, positive connotation, and to me these are all neutral. Okay? One of the great type 3 is Lord God Krishna.
Type 3.
All he said to us. The
so
end.
you look at
The
it.
end. Don't bother. And these are, just get things done. And type 3s are more flexible than anybody. Because if you want to get things done, I have seen type 3 CEOs can play the role of all the types. Depending on,
To get the goal.
yeah, they'll call you and say that you want to have a drink, let's sit down and having a drink after 2 drinks. He said, man, very next quarter we just go to that. So if that's the way it works, they're okay to do that. So they're extremely flexible in their ways to get things done. But the focus is the end result. Another smart category. You can always notice 3s from the kind of dressing. 2s can dress in a people-pleasing way. 3s always will dress formally and smartly. They want to get attention. So 3 can walk into a party and you're talking to you, suddenly, but he's there with an agenda. He has come with how many people to talk, how long, and what you want to get out of that. While you got caught up and you were so engrossed in the dialogue, he says, excuse me, he has moved because he's there with that. The 3 is really reading. Yeah. And a lot of the corporate world, when we talk about climbing the ladder, we largely talk about type 3s. And they have the same problem. The problem is, after a certain time in their life, they realize, I actually reached what I want. But they were doing all those things to get love and affection, and nobody's around now. 3. And the only way 3 knows how to get them back is by doing walk. That's a funny part.
They don't know how to get
Do that. So he will say that if I do that also, if I can get it, people might come back into my life. So they can just get deeper level, very, very emotional, but they're never in touch with their emotions. Because they need activity. I know a type 3 guy who doesn't get much time with his spouse, but even if he gets some time, he doesn't want that to be alone. So he'll fix it up with dinner, meetings or something so that he doesn't want to experience and being there alone. And just Because type 3 wants to fill the time with doing something. They're so afraid of themselves. Because deep inside they're emotional.
They're so afraid of themselves.
That's right. Deep inside they're very emotional, but they're not in touch with their emotions because they found that achieving things were more important. So that's the type 3. And brilliant group, as I said, in all these types there is extremely positive people and extremely negative people. As God Krishna when we talked about it, it's type 3. Type 3s are also very image conscious. As a joke, I always say that, they not only want to be successful, they also want to show that they are, and they look successful by the way. And fit type, you feel. So I can now actually feel. When I was in the chemistry lab, how many of you have done chemistry in college? Okay. There's something called salt analysis. Do you remember that? You get a white powder and you need to do 18 tests to figure out what it is. And I was, most of the time, I'm never in the class in the college. So I didn't have a clue. So always, who helped me is the lab assistant. He puts that in his hand. I went and tried with sodium nitrate. I said, how the hell do you know this is sodium nitrate? He said, I've been in this lab for the last 32 years, man. So now Enneagram has become that to me. I don't really have to go through that. When I interact with people, I can get a feel from your energy saying that they don't go further. Type 4, extremely creative, individualistic here, not from a negative perspective, which means they have an
understanding of themselves.
And individuality. There is individuality. When I met you for the first time, possibly if you interact, I would say that you have an element of a 4. So the way you come across. So we wouldn't know. So what it come across is an element of being slightly unique, being different. And the best leader to understand this is Steve Jobs. Jobs. So it's very, very different from the usual leaders. We have a couple of people. Sushmita Sen is Amir Khan. These are type 4. Not there. Slightly melancholic eyes. So there is some level of melancholy. Because type 4s always say that, you know what?
Being separate from everybody else.
Yeah, I'm also different. As a kids, they always ask my mom, why am I different? Why am I not like other people? Which is a usual type 4. And the whole stories are slightly melancholic. As a joke, I say the whole culture of West Bengal. How many of you are from West Bengal? Yeah? So the tradition, if you go and ask, how are you? What's the answer? Cholche. They don't say that I'm doing great. That's right, exactly. So, the whole thing is celebrating life is not right. So there's some element of that. That's type 4. Move to type 5. This is Manmohan Singh. So basically, type 5s learned that I don't want to participate in the game of life, but I want to understand it. And I will tell you what to do. So people like Einstein, Professor Nash, you heard about Professor Nash who came up with the Beatles theory, the movie Beautiful Mind? He's type 5. Have you noticed all of the body structures also?
And they get other people to do what they...
That's right. So they're thinkers, detached, analytical, cut off observers. They are not actors. And this is so important now. Look at an Indian political scenario. We are actually pushing somebody whose whole DNA is not to be in front.
Become as good as a finance minister.
Yeah, because he's a thinker, different, he's a scholar, he will tell you what to do.
Yeah, it's not people to do it.
It's almost like if you ask Professor Nash or Einstein to become a physicist. That's not his core type. So that's a type 5. As a stage, Kerala is a type 5 stage. You know the guy who is giving you chai in a small chai shop can talk about global warming and why it is. the last time I went to see a BD manufacturing company in Kerala called Deepam BDs. I was surprised. They get paid for the number of BDs they make in a day. They fit in a circle and make it. And they have given one guy the role of reading the newspaper that day. His job is to read all the newspapers.
To the people over there.
No, so their share given. The next day somebody else read.
Oh, wow.
So that knowledge and knowing what's going on is so important. Where I'm willing. So that's why most of my house, my dad gets 3 newspapers. So I always ask, why do you buy 3? He said, from one you get only their viewpoint. If you want to get it complete, you have to read all. You know, so it's system. And that is why Malayalam Manorama has highest circulation as a newspaper in the country. Not an English newspaper. Yeah, so there type 5, the whole character is about knowing things. No, 8. It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. Okay, moving to type 6. So type 6 as a child learned that if I support somebody, quite similar to type 2, but not giving to everyone, close to my close circle. If I become loyal to an organization, to a family, to a person, to an entity, anything, then I will be taken care of. Type 6 is a basic insecurity. They look for something to belong. And I'm loyal after that. You just take care of. But because their need for belonging and safety is high, they usually walk around with their antennas up, skeptical. Because they want to know that. Whether I can trust this guy, whether I can trust. But they're very, very skeptical. So if you tell a type 6, hey, how are you doing today? 6 will say, I am fine. Why did you ask? Now the whole thought process, why is going on? Tension, anxiety is going on. The type 6 need to feel comfortable, but they feel extreme level of anxiety usually in social situations. And once you make them okay, they are loyal, they stay in an organization for 20 years, 30 years, they're solid. They have this tendency called either at your feet or at your throat.
Or at your throat.
Yeah? Throat, yeah. So I'm completely loyal, dedicated, be there. But if you push me because they get anxious, go hard. One time where decision making takes more time than all other days.
So that is Manmohan Singh.
That is
Loyal,
yeah. So there's a connection. There's a connection. Like you have a connection with that 1 and 2.
He was in a position to write the song.
Type 7. Very easy to find. Type 7 is how this guy, Kingfisher. Remember, the energy is about high, outgoing, fun, where is the party today, 100 things to do, beautiful people in a way that very positive. Everything in life for them is positive. This is positive, this is a life is just he got it exactly his cousin in London, the same.
Yeah,
Mr. Branson. Both are the same way. It's just that this guy was making more money than Mr. Branson because of the beer business. Because Mr. Branson's business was not.
Branson's doing better.
So now, because otherwise his insurance or the airline was not making money. What Branson was doing was he was giving his brand endorsement and making that. So the whole idea is very, very happy-go-lucky people, wonderful support. The challenge is, the negativity is, highest number of people who get into substance abuse can be type 7. High energy is there.
And they don't know how to focus it.
Yeah, some of my friends who are entrepreneurs, younger, I know they are type 7. I wonder sometimes how to sustain that kind of energy they burn out that energy. Multiple things, so they can never be in one place. So all the type 7 entrepreneurs will have multiple business. And nothing wrong with it, because they have an energy too. One of the person who enjoy multiple business who is not a type 7 is Anarjit Singh, whom I work. I always ask Anarjit, are you a type 7 because you enjoy so many businesses? He said, no. And one of the things that he is doing at his stage in life is just getting rid of all the things that he is not enjoying. And he's just looking at anything that he will only do now, he says, to do with taking care of people. So you can really look at how the type influence the businesses that we are into. Type 8.
How can we be unfocused? Most of them are usually very successful.
Yeah, so the focus, what it means at any given point of time. So I've heard people within Max Group telling that you're not focused here. So their worry is, while they need him here, he is somewhere else. So to the other person, what is it that you want to do? Isn't it you're trying to do too many things in your life? Because I get that as a feedback to me, because I have a strong belief that human beings are supposed to be, any man is supposed to be writing poetry, building a house, traveling to big places, changing nappies, falling in love, and specialization is for insects. Because our brain is much more. So people tell me that, okay, you tend to be doing one side, and training dogs to the corporate one, the hypnotizing people, traveling. And people can say that it's not focus. That's also a perception in that way.
You can give us an example of type 6. Any celebrity known person who's type 6?
You are a type 6, that I know. Yeah, I think Sonia is one. Gandhi. Yeah.
She's a loyalist.
To whom?
To her family.
Yeah, why did she really do it? Being there and close in that way. Which one would you think? Which one?
Dutiful to whatever she thinks.
And also she tells other people loyalty is the most important thing. That way.
Yes.
I think she fits in beautifully.
Yes.
Yeah. And Rahul, I have a thinking that he's a Jew internally, but he hasn't developed himself into, so we can't see who he is now. That's the tragedy.
He's quite confused.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know at this age. This is the age that a man knows. This is the age where. That's right. So we can't just see who he is. And one reason can be a type 6 overpowering. Yeah.
I think it's 7 and above.
Must be. So we don't know.
What is type 8?
Type 8. The type 8 as a child realized, if I don't take control of the situation, somebody will control me. So from the very beginning, so you can see a small child standing up, she's playing with the 5 other kids. And this kid comes up and says, I am the mother, you are all the son, now listen to me. That's a type 8. Type 8 has this thing called my way or take the highway. Extremely supportive of their people. Okay, I'll take care of you. So type 8 is the traditional male archetype. Provider, supporter, do this, director, hinder, push it.
Typical leader.
Yeah, this is it, and now come with me.
Obviously,
The energy is a slightly aggressive energy, even if they don't talk. So Indira Gandhi was a type 8. Sanjay Gandhi was a type 8. Rajiv Gandhi was a type 3. So the type 8s do come across. As a joke, I say that when type 8s walks in, security guys salutes. It's a physical presence. Like a good, slightly physically like pointing related. That's an energy. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. There are a lot of type 8s. Yeah.
Sanjay Gandhi? Very typical pragmatic.
Right. So we have finished all. Good. I will tell you in the next 3 minutes, even if you haven't got till now, if you pay attention to the next 3 minutes and flow with it, you will get it clear. Yeah. So how each of these types will be crossing a river. Imagine there is a river there. And this dives in how each one will be crossing. And this is all my jokes are slightly exaggerated. The idea is to give you a feeling. Type 1 will be walking around looking for the board which says where to cross. Cross. And you tell everybody there has to be a board. We will only cross when the board is there. Just look for that. Type 2 will jump first. Type is a very enthusiastic people. But then start helping people to cross. In the process, never get to cross. And then say, see, I have done so many things for other people. And what is my situation now? Nobody bothered. Children are now grown up, and then I am there. So that's the type 2 energy there. Type 3. Suddenly opened his bag. Nobody knew that he was carrying a bag. And he has actually now carried a swimming costume. With a branded one. That's He knew that. And jump and do that, attractive overarm strokes, making sure that everybody is watching. For him, it's an opportunity. Type 4 jumps into the water in a corner and do a water ballet. Type 4 is that type 4s will hang around in a party without mingling with the people so that one can get noticed.
Well, type 4 seek attention, you mean?
Type 4, everybody wants attention. Everybody. But type 4 will get attention saying that I am different. Everybody is talking and dancing. I am not a dancing type. So that is attention. So attention seeking can be done in multiple ways. So type 4s always will stay aloof and try to get attention. Type 5 is sitting behind a bush and taking a note on it how everybody is crossing. So that he can come with his theory or something. And he is sitting quietly and taking notes on how everybody is crossing. Type 6, by the way, type 6 are also the most traditional people. They like to hold on to the tradition. Most difficult to change quickly. For any change initiative in organization, I'll say that you go to talk to type 6 separately. Make them comfortable. So type 6 jump into whatever dress they are wearing into that. And they will also wait for order. They'll ask, should I jump now? Jump into it and do the traditional overarm strokes and cross the river. Type 7s jump into the water and pull everybody to the water and say that let's have a party, why should we cross? Type 8s jump into the water, swim against the current and tell others, follow me. Type 9, jump into the water, flow with the water and tell people this way also we can cross. So why people struggle hard? It's just going into it. So if you keep this energy in mind and look at your cards, you should be able to find out.
So what is your type?
You tell me, then I'll tell you whether I did a good job or not.
Type 4.
Huh?
Type 4, I would say.
You're right.
Yes, type 4 is type 1, so
Yeah.
type 4.
So people, when I do the test, I will come as type 7. Because I have multiple interests and other one. But otherwise, if I were to look at A's, I am a type 4 with a type 5. So what it says that there is something called a wing concept. Wing means none of you are purely your type. You have an influence of your adjacent type, which is called a wing. Neighboring one. Just a neighboring one. So if you are a type 1, you will have a 2 or a 3. No, sorry, 2 or 1. Adjacent ones. Okay, arrows are more interesting. So if you want to know arrows, quite complicated, but okay, let me tell the arrows. Suppose if you want to test, those of you, put your hand on the type that you think you are. Okay, in the diagram. There is a diagram, otherwise imagine your finger on that picture there. And see an arrow coming to you. Can you see an arrow coming to you? See an arrow coming to you.
Yeah.
So the theory says, when you are feeling okay, the arrow that comes from whichever type it is coming to you, at that moment, temporarily, you will demonstrate the positive qualities of that type.
Of the arrow.
That's right. Which means, let's do the paradoxical nature of this. So let's say that a type 8, like type 8 is an aggressive, pushy guy, but he's feeling good, things are nice, the poll results are coming well. So the tendency is to show more of a caring and giving at that point. Because the positive, so the two gets integrated. That's the meaning of that. But if you put him into tension, temporarily, he'll show the negativity of the 5. Where the arrow is going away. The arrow that is coming to you, bring the positivity of that number temporarily. The arrow that is going away gives you the negativity of that temporarily. So one, when you are under stress, one, you are feeling good.
Positive. Temporary now gets the arrow from 3.
That's right.
Then it goes to 6 and the 6 goes to 3. Then what does that mean?
So which means, let's say you are a number 3, which arrow is coming? 6, right? So this man who wanted to climb the ladder and do everything now, feeling good in life. So he is bringing the loyalty and stability of a 6. Temporary. Which is coming. First of all, just look at where is the arrow coming? The arrow coming to you brings the positivity of the number. Correct? Now this man is under stress. Then instead of going and getting and capturing, he is now saying that don't, leave it. He is showing the negativity of 9. Got it? So arrow going away, negativity of the type, coming in, positivity of the type. One of them. So because you know these types now, so you need to really ask, I have to have 1. So in my case I have 5 and I have 4. So I know whether I'm more of a 5 or a 3. Because I need to know things, conceptual, knowledge, reading. So I know that I'm an arrow of the 5. So you just need to figure out among these two what would be an arrow.
So in your case, you are like a 4, but you also have wings of 5 and 7. Is that how?
No, I only have wing of 5. 7 is not a wing at all. 7, I can be misinterpreted as a 7 by people.
But you are not 7.
I'm not.
Okay, but you can be misinterpreted as
That's
7.
right.
Because of his multiple. But you have wings of
Multiple interests, and may I come across as a, enthusiast. And this is only when I'm dealing with the people. When you don't see me in front of people, I'm such a boring guy. Because I just love to sit in my room and I hate interacting with people. I'm extremely antisocial that way. But you put me in front of this is my passion, there my 7-ish kind of thing comes up.
Yeah, your cream and jam too, I'm sure.
Both. So whenever you understand self, one of the ways you need to also look at is to ask people around, do you perceive me in that way? And do a superimposing. But don't give the whole credit to the others. Others could just perceive you based on what because you perceiving me for 90 minutes. That's right. But you do.
To make things clearer, if I think I'm type 1, and as you said, the adjacent arrow would make my personality clearer to me. I do feel that the arrow going up to 7, if things are good with me, I'm fun-loving and adventurous. And the other arrow going down to 4, which makes me individualistic.
And
they all,
they make melancholic.
And a bit melancholic as well. Kind of shape up the person I am. So, am I interpreting this correctly?
That's right.
And what are the negatives? How do I interpret the negatives then?
One, you will look at the negatives of 1 if you are type 1.
I see across, I can't see the figure.
Manju, she can't see the.
Yeah.
So if you are type 1, you can get critical.
How did the arrows show? Oh, that is of course the. Okay.
That's it. So that you are type 1 anyway. The other ones are temporary movements. question, one can be question answer because one there is no possibility for answer.
Since we are running out of time and now we've overstepped our time, would you just like quick questions, 5 last questions with him or 3 last questions and invite it up?
In question 1 minute, don't.
Please, last 3 questions.
Sure.
Just last 3
Because there are a lot of questions we're going through. So let's initially close the program and let people then be able to ask. Whoever wants to stay back and ask whether they can stay back.
I will not. One-to-one is very draining.
Not one-to-one. Then they can
As a group, if you want to stay back here.
As a group.
Yes.
So I guess it's been very nice having Santhosh Babu in there, and I would like Sangita, our lady for today, to kind of give our formal word of thanks and conclude the session. Ladies, we will be having a presentation of Santhosh Babu and send it to you.
Where is the other mic which was here?
What is the presentation?
Shalu, 1 second.
Hello.
Do you want to keep moving the slides while we are waiting?
No, concentrate.
I think everybody wants to hear more of Santhosh Babu, so I'll just take a quick 2 minutes. So Shri Santhosh Babu, governing body members, past presidents, members of FLO, very good afternoon to all of you. I hope Patricia have it. People are not perfect. Very often, the relationships that are strongest are those where people have worked through big crises, but they've had to work through them. So the challenge for us is to work through them. Unquote. It's so true, and it could never have been better explained to us than as Shri Santhosh Babu has explained to us. Sustaining healthy relationship in personal as well as professional life is far more challenging than it ever appears to be. Today's session has been truly inspiring. Sir, our sincere thanks to you for addressing and educating us today. We could enrich and enlighten ourselves with your mantras for understanding the building blocks of relationship and learn from you the essential elements towards sustaining them. Your anagrams gave us a deep insight into different ways in which people think, feel and behave. We found different ways to give feedbacks and criticisms without being emotional or overtly so. Your so very apt examples have made everything so much more relevant and meaningful. Your examples were not exaggerated. They brought home the point. They drove it very well to us. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to introspect ourselves and to be able to understand others, to charge ourselves to move towards building healthy relationships. Friends, thank you all for joining us today. I assure you that we all go back more renewed and more rejuvenated, understanding ourselves, ready to forge new relationships and improve ourselves. Thank you so much.
Couple of things before we break. One, knowledge is very important. So I am not in favor of just giving material and just all. If you need, you go to mail.
Well, we are passing around silent sheets, so they sort of fill that out.
Yeah, otherwise I will give my email ID. You, at least from your side, that has to be there. Because in all we say that there's so much information, you could just bombard you inside and you can Google it, get it. But I'm going to give my email. If you show interest, which is, so I'm going to...
Would you want to meet us being the type you are?
Would
you want to meet us being the type you are?
Yeah, at least email. Good thing is if I don't, somebody else in my company will send you that. So that's a good one. My name is Santhosh, TH or SH? Oh wow, this is correct. Because Malayalam Kerala is usually do the checks. Yeah. At the rate OD of OD is a short form for Organization Development. OD, alternatives. ALTER, alternatives.com. Oh yes, I run a company for the last 15 years. ODalternatives.com. Okay, that's a good question. She says, I know my type, what do I do with that? Couple of things, what you can do as a next step, if you're keen, you can go through a Enneagram workshop to get you immersed and create action plans. What are the challenges that I'm facing in my life now? How do I go about it? Possibly it takes 2 days.
Ladies, these books are there for sale. Anybody who wants to buy, it's just outside.
That's purely on coaching. So one is you could do a 2-day workshop. We do with corporates, or if somebody is organizing, we could do that. I did a workshop for the FICCI team last time. We always do content.
You need a two-day minimum.
Is what it immerse which tells you this is my type, how do we bring it out? That's what we do for the corporates. That's one. Second thing, what if you are interested, we do a workshop which is public, only people who are really, the 2 conditions for that. You got to be 40 plus, one. Second, you need to be willing to talk about what's your next big aspiration. You need to have something to make it happen. It's called Vision Quest. We do it typically in a place like Wildflower Hall, and where a bunch come from. And I have a co-facilitator called Sonia Stojonovic who comes and to head the leadership practice for McKinsey in New York. So we take you through the whole process of 3 days. That's for people who say that I want to really create a new possibility. And this is going to be a bunch. That could be only around 20 people who come. So that
Not the challenge.
What's the cut-off age?
age. They're not gonna wait. Yeah. So those. This particular one, we are talking a concept called really redesigning your life at that level. So a lot of stuff that we talk in this workshop is only going to be meaningful. Yes. I have some.
Okay, I'm circulating the cards over.
I'm just coming back. Last time we were going to